from the Mercy One studio. Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mescher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Rose Ganguzza, one of the producers of the new movie Fatima, telling the real-life events which occurred in 1917 when the Virgin Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children in Portugal. This new release is in theaters now and streaming almost everywhere. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the Bishop's mind.
Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
I almost feel like I'd be in a kayak here in downtown Des Moines, and I know the biblical rains we've been getting aren't going to alleviate some of the drought conditions for our friends in the western part of the diocese, but at least hopefully it gives encouragement and everything as, maybe replenishing the water table for next year,
right.
Even still a deficit as well. But, eventful days, and again, really trying to celebrate in many ways this 9/11, our 19th anniversary of the 9/11 tragedy that was here, the terrorism attack as well. So very much lifting up the 3,000 souls, but also our first responders, whom we continue to appreciate, all sorts of emergency personnel, firefighters, law enforcement, emergency room, electrical workers, and others, too, on this great day. So great reverence for how they continue to protect us, and, obviously in the wake of the derecho, it made it ever more evident for us. So a moment of truth for our country. Hard to believe, 19 years since that event has passed.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend, Mary Nazareth Parish is finally getting a chance to fet Father Greg Leach, who retired in July after 40 years. Tomorrow, officially, 40 years anniversary of priestly ordination, and how Father Greg, speaking of first responders, he himself was a volunteer firefighter through much of his priesthood and his service in different parishes in Stewart Adair, Our Lady's Immaculate Heart in Ankeny, Osceola, Grand River, Erling, Sacred Heart Des Moines, and the 12 years of St. Mary of Nazareth. So I know they wanted to do this back in May, but like many things, postponed. But even with social distancing, I'm sure it'll be a great opportunity to celebrate him. I think he was actually an umpire, too, on the side in baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to resume that, but I know he's continued to make himself available in many ways. I personally am thinking of Bishop Edward Malesic in Greensburg, where my brother Mark lives, now to be installed on Monday as the Bishop of Cleveland. Originally was hoping to be present at that, to make that. I understand there's circulating a photo out there somewhere in our days at the Pontifical College Josephinum, where I actually was at my alumni reunion last Thursday for a day, and then checking out the seminary with Father Ross Parker, our vocation director in Columbus. But, the musical side, Father Malesic playing clarinet and myself with trumpet, but it seems like I'm about half the size I was now. Who is this young seminarian? Thinking of seminaries, Mundelein Seminary in Chicago is giving a nice little tribute to hero priests, including our own Father Mark McGarry, associate at St. Francis of Assisi, and how his tireless ministry as associate pastor throughout all the COVID, and kind of giving him shining a little light on him. So shout out to you, Father Mark, and what you're doing there also, and the great work with so many of our priests in the diocese. But we can identify people and not get jealous about that. I better give a little mini shout out to my, thinking about 9/11, my nephew Michael Joensen in Ankeny, member of St. Luke's Parish. He was born the year after 9/11 on the 12th of September. He's going to turn 18 years old. Hard to believe. What a young man he's become. His rapier-like sense of humor not only reduces his dad, but several as well, keeps us humble. So, and on Monday, we're looking to lift up a kind of a solemn feast day, which sometimes passes under the radar screen, the triumph of the cross, the central symbol of our Christian faith, Jesus' redeeming salvific mission on the cross, but the mercy and the love that's there. So maybe another opportunity. We think about different seasons for the opportunity for confession, the sacrament of reconciliation. I know many of our priests have been really yeomen in terms of making that sacrament available on an individual level. The provisions for general absolution remain in place under the COVID dispensation, so that may be a great opportunity for people to experience God's mercy as well. And then, of course, this weekend, the parishes will be the seminarian collection to support our 18 men. So we remember them, please, as we continue to look for future priests.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll welcome the producer of the movie Fatima. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mescher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Rose Ganguzza, one of the producers of the new movie Fatima, showcasing the real-life events which occurred in 1917 when the Virgin Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children in Fatima, Portugal. We're going to talk to Rose here in a moment to find out how she got involved in the movie, her Catholic faith, and more. We're just ringing her right back up. But Bishop, we did have a chance to both watch the movie, and we both thought it was excellent, correct?
Yeah, I was really, I don't want to say I reduced my expectations, but sometimes we know religious movies can be a little schlocky, or that they emphasize the kind of pietistic way, or even in this day and age with so much digital technology that they go to town with that, and it becomes kind of a pyrotechnic event. And so I think the subtlety and the modesty, the restraint lends itself to a lavish, beautiful, but so realistic and compelling account of what was the real appearance of the Blessed Virgin Mary in 1917 in Portugal at Fatima in the villages.
Yep. I streamed it last night as well. It's excellent. We do have Rose on the line now.
Okay. All right. Very good. Good morning to you, Ms. Ganguzza. If I pronounce that correctly, yes. And if I'm too familiar to call you Rose, so great to have you with us. And I imagine as the movie hit theaters on August 28th, and a lot of various live streaming services. You're a busy woman these days, but this great project of putting this together, and I was able to take it in a couple nights ago. I was foolish. The producers and the company was making it available to bishops throughout the country for preview for free. I didn't take advantage of that. So
you didn't get that? Oh my gosh! Somebody needs to return that $20 to you.
I don't know how much you actually see a slice of any of those things, but let's get into the matter of the movie, which was really a sublime experience, and I think is intended to target a broad audience, not just members of the household of faith. So can you kind of talk about that, how you as a practicing Catholic, but that there's a broader scope and appeal in what is meant to be a major motion picture, not just a niche film?
Yeah. When I decided to do this film, it was brought to me by Origin Entertainment, which was 2 wonderful people, Dick Lyle and James Volk. They showed me the script, and of course I immediately remember the story of Fatima, like everybody who's ever gone to Catholic schools and seen the original 1952 movie. But my proviso with them was that I would come on board to produce it, but that I wanted to make it for a wider audience. I didn't want to make a film that only Catholics would go to see, because I think the message of Fatima is so much broader than that. And so in taking the original script, I wanted a character that was questioning everything, and I thought by bringing in the older Lucia and having the Harvey Keitel character, I think we did that.
So and the Harvey Keitel character is intriguing. Was he an insertion in the script that, among others, director Marco Pontecorvo composed, or was that a later addition, or was that originally in the script?
No, that was what I originally talked about with Marco when I brought him onto the movie. I said, look, I think we need to have a flash forward, and I think we need to have somebody visiting her and questioning her, because that's what the audience is going to do, and we have to kind of presuppose that. And that's how that character came about, and Marco and Valerio D'Annunzio changed that and invented that character for the film.
Okay, well, and any movie with Harvey Keitel I would watch, on its own merits, given his great portfolio as well. And then teaming with Braga as the Lucia character there in her later years and everything else, and that dynamic. Were you on site for much of the filming? Could you witness their exchanges on set, or was that something?
Yeah, well, I've known both of them for a while. It's really important when you try to raise financing for a film that you get some names on board. And this isn't exactly a film that a lot of big name actors were really jumping up and down to do, even actors from Catholic countries. I think, with the present climate, it always is like actors are worried that they may be pigeonholed or they may be identified or it's insane. And so I had to, instead of going to the normal route, I had to come up with people that I could call on the phone. And Harvey loves working with Italian directors. And even though he's not a Catholic, he's appeared in a lot of things that have a lot of these things. And I thought it was really interesting because he said to me that, he never thought he would be getting so much attention for this role, but he has. And Sonia is someone I've known for over 40 years. And she was a little bit surprised that I would think of her as a nun, but I think she pulls it off brilliantly. Kiss of the Spider Woman is a little bit different genre movie, but that's you think? I know, right?
And again, we could get into so many things here, but Harvey Keitel said he at the time was reading the Book of Job and then a book of philosophy. I was just intrigued, as a formal philosopher, what do you happen to know which book he was reading? At the time. I hope it's Nietzsche or something, but
yeah. He's a very smart guy, Harvey. So he was intrigued by the whole thing.
Yeah. So. Really assembling an incredible stable, and you're right. I mean, they can't be pigeonholed. This isn't God messaged me. This is something with the richness of the Portuguese countryside and everything that's there. I mean, cinematographer Vincenzo Carpeneta, and just I was kind of thinking about Once Upon a Time in Anatolia, the Turkish movie, just how the countryside is so much part of the overall story and how that's woven in there as well. But you've got really quite a cast, and the casting that was there with our children actors as well, Stephanie Gill and others. Can you kind of talk about what features appeal to you and what things you think they bring to the overall production? It's really hard nowadays to do independent films, and especially independent films on this scale. I mean, this is a very large movie. And yet it wasn't the kind of film that we go to a studio with and resell it. So it was, we had to raise the money independently, which is not an easy task. And that took about 4 or 5 years. And finally we found this, at first a lovely gentleman, a friend of mine in Brazil, and then another wonderful man in Torino, in Italy. And neither one of them are in the film business, nor have they ever invested in film. And they kind of took a leap of faith. And what we had to do was shoot out the scenes with Harvey and Sonia so that we had something to show. And then with those scenes, we were able to get the second investor and the larger sum of money on board. With the children, that was so key because they're in every scene. We cast a worldwide net, and eventually a casting director in London said, I have a really wonderful casting person in Spain, and I think we can find the children there. And that's where we found all 3 of the children in the film. Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah, Madrid and Barcelona, and the actor, his name is escaping me at the moment, who plays Francisco. Actually, it appeared before full print at one time. Is that
Yes,
right?
beautiful performance. Little Jorge is a brilliant dancer, and is Billy Elliot on stage in Madrid. He's so enormously talented, and I had him here with me last summer, and he was accepted to Stage Door, which is one of the most prestigious theater camps in the world, and they were just bowled over by him. He's pretty incredible.
No, I mean, and obviously a bright future ahead of him, but they were totally credible in terms of being the children, and he kind of has a holy cluelessness about him.
So sweet, right?
Is obviously receiving the full spectrum of the messages and things that's going on from the Blessed Mother. But and then the Blessed Mother figure, it's not some kind of ethereal cloud she's in, and again, all the digital things. It's so incarnational and so real that the way it's presented. So you didn't go overboard here and allowed it to speak for itself, if you will.
Yeah, it was really important to me going into this that we didn't have Mary floating in the sky, and I specifically discussed this with Marco, that I wanted her at the children's eye level. The whole concept of the retelling of this story was to have it from the point of view of the children. And even when we go forward to speaking to Sister Lucia, we're still doing it from the point of view of the children. And she is an older woman, not recanting and not trying to change her story at all, but staying firm like she did as a child. And
yet some discretion there, I understand, that apparently the children were threatened by either church or civil authorities that they would be boiled in oil if they did not recant. And so, you kind of that particular piece, but otherwise there's a tremendous realism. So you're one of several producers, I understand, and there are some of kind of evangelical Christian faith. Can you just talk about, in terms of the whole cast and production team, for some, was this an active, or did it draw some maybe to give them pause?
Well, when you do those kind of things, for us now, it's if people come on, if they, the people who bring in the money are very key. And as I said, we had these people who, like, literally were sent from heaven. The main man is not a Catholic. I mean, obviously he was raised in Italy, probably raised Catholic, but he's now a Buddhist. Marco Pontecorvo is Jewish on one side of his family. And in Italy, as you know, there's a lot of kind of anti-clericism, much like what was being experienced during the time of the story. We had one producer who is an evangelical, and then Dick Lyle, who's very well known in the Catholic Church. These people came not from production backgrounds, but from more, backgrounds in dealing with the dogma, as did Natasha Howes, who has kind of dedicated her life up until that point to the story of Fatima and did a lot of different projects and different things about Fatima. So she was a resident expert, still is, throughout the whole thing, and her relationship with the apostolate of Fatima and all of the main figures there. So it was a very interesting group of people, for sure. And then, of course, when Marco Pontecorvo came on, he was doing more than just directing. He was helping with bring a lot of things into it. So, of course, he's listed also as a producer.
Okay, well, very much. So you've alluded to it here, but, obviously in that time, the First World War, the civil strife, the antagonism, if not outright enmity toward the institutional church and clergy, and then, as the Blessed Mother predicted for Francisco and Jacinta, that they would perish, and as young men. So the pandemic of 1918, they actually died
Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Which makes it incredibly timely. I mean, that wasn't our main focus.
Yeah, and it may not be so much an atheistic Marxism, but the skepticism and scientific kind of wariness of anything in faith. So here we are in a new climate, but it should provide a a context in our own culture where we can identify with some of the characters, the mother and the parish priest and others. The mother, Lucio's mother, is very sympathetic, Maria Rosa, in terms of how she was portrayed by Lucio Moniz, and I think any mother could say, wow, my daughter is seeing the Blessed Mother. Wait a minute here.
Yeah. I mean, the church was the center of the town, but of course, the local officials and the head people at the church were kind of scared at that time, and that's why I think we had to expand on the historical context of the story, because if you don't understand where the church was in the Iberian Peninsula at the time, and that this was a world at war and at the eve of a worldwide pandemic, I think you lose a lot of the importance of the story and why it impacted people the way it did then. And then since then, here we are 100 odd years later, and we're still being impacted by this story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Were you concerned that our present pandemic would impact the release of the movie or in any way, or did you
we didn't. Well, it did. I mean, yeah, we had to change our original premiere date. We had a huge premiere all scheduled here in New York on April 28th with Bocelli present at Lincoln Center, et cetera. It was going to be a very, very big event, and of course that was canceled. And then we had to keep pushing because we didn't know when theaters were going to reopen. And in fact, here in New York and in Los Angeles and in California, theaters aren't reopened, and that's when we decided to do the streaming and the VOD.
Here, would you be willing to stay with us just a few more minutes here after the break?
Yes, of course.
Very much.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. We're back with Rose Ganguzza, one of the producers of the movie Fatima.
Thank you again for remaining with us, Rose. You made reference to Andrea Bocelli. The original score by composer Paolo Bonvino and what he's put together there, I think, really lends itself. It doesn't call attention to itself, but then obviously as the conclusion of the movie and that Grazia Plena piece that is there with the Maestro Bocelli producing, singing that as well. The bringing that together and the message of having the children sing and the world needs peace at this time, really anointing us, I think, in the movie, but lingering with us even as we kind of absorb what we've just viewed and witnessed in the movie itself. So he was a willing participant, obviously, but the music and putting that together. Did you have a hand in that? Inspiring?
I was the one who brought Bocelli in, and it was really the turning point for us when Andrea said yes to doing the music for the film. It was one of the key elements that attracted the main investor in the movie. I called him in Italy as soon as I'd gotten off the phone with the Bocelli news, and he was intrigued by that, and it was the main reason why we were able to go ahead. Andrea is such a huge presence in the movie in terms of the song Gloria and the Grazia Plena, which is the original piece that Paolo Bonvino wrote. for him. And you can see the music video online that he did as well. It's quite lovely.
Oh, well, we'll seek that out then. And his remarks as a man of faith that Fatima as an epicenter of spirituality and a catalyst for prayer, a bridge between humanity and divine. And though God has graced me with the opportunity to visit many places in the world, Fatima is not one of them yet. So it's got me pining for World Youth Day in 2023, maybe bringing a group from the Diocese of Des Moines if I may do that. But
are you? Oh, good. Cardinal Dolan told me 2 days ago that he's going as well, so I guess you're all going to be there.
Okay, well, that good native Midwesterner will get him on board. So it concludes with the miracle of the sun. Some have said, wow, could we not have had a little bit more after the miracle of the sun? That spoiler alert there for people in that regard. But kind of the reviews and things overall that you're seeing here in the first weeks.
So we've had an amazing response to this film, and unlike a lot of films that drop off in the second weekend, we've had an increase, and we've also been able to increase our number of theaters as different states are reopening. We are just bowled over by the response in terms of how many people in North America are viewing the film, and this is a good bellwether for what's going to happen when the film starts releasing internationally on October 13th.
A well-chosen date there. Well-chosen date.
Yes.
Well, blessings upon you for what was many years of involvement and labor, and to see your child maybe be born in this regard. And thank you for your time with us today. And so many graces to you and all you hold in your heart. May you be kept safe from any of the ravages of the pandemic and any people that you care about. But bless you, and thank you very much for appearing.
That. Thank you so much. It was a lovely time speaking with you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very kind. So thank you very much. We'll sign off with you. Thank you. Oh, Kelly, wow, what a tremendous thing. And I hope we've maybe appealed to some people who maybe were looking for what they might be doing this weekend. And no plug here. I know it is appearing at a theater in the greater metro in Ankeny. And
I streamed on Amazon, and I think you found it on YouTube, right?
Well, I'm not going to say which service I have made. I get no commission as well. So, but but very good, and obviously people and their families still trying to make that adjustment and live as we do each day in faith. May the power of the cross strengthen and support us and give us hope.
All right, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.